outside my window is a tree.
Hello, and welcome to The Bard's Truth with your host, the Green Bard. This is Lemongate 4, Willem, Willam, will.i.am. Thus far in the series, we've covered how it's likely that George R. R. Martin switched the real location of the house with the red door in Tyrosh with the false flag location of being in Braavos. We further discussed how Dany and Viserys' life there was sabotaged in favor of Illyrio Mopatis' Aegon conspiracy to foil Doran Martell's plot to build an alliance with Tyrosh and the Targaryens. Finally, last time we introduced the idea that the 4 loyal men who helped them escape Dragonstone were a product of a third conspiracy made up of the survivors of the Battle of the Tower of Joy. In this episode, we'll tie up a few loose ends about Dany's memories of the house with the red door. Pursuant to the title of this episode, I'll start by investigating the discrepancies in the text surrounding Willem Darry. Preston, Toodles, and umarkg171 each cover how some of the descriptions of him are contradictory, suggesting that Dany is conflating Willem Darry with another man. After studying their arguments and the text, I think that the other man she's conflating him with is Lord Willem Dustin. First, let's recall that last time I suggested that 3 of Ned's 7 might have lived, not just Ned and Howland Reed. That conclusion is valid due to a careful reading of the following quote. Martyn Cassel had perished with the rest. Ned had pulled the tower down afterward and used its bloody stones to build 8 cairns upon the ridge. It was said that Rhaegar had named that place the Tower of Joy, but for Ned it was a bitter memory. They had been 7 against 3, yet only 2 had lived to ride away. Eddard Stark himself and the little Crannog man, Howland Reed. He did not think it omened well that he should dream that dream again after so many years. Now, let me state the obvious. Willem Dustin couldn't ride away. Ned took his horse. Is this why George has Barbrey Dustin make such a big deal of the missing bones and the horse? To hint to us that one might live, not leave bones behind, and not ride away because he doesn't have a horse to ride on. I think that's exactly what he did. And I think it's a hilarious joke to pull on us. I posit that Willem Dustin was crippled in the fight and unable to ride away, but he did live. And it just so happens that the defining characteristic of Dany's Sir Willem Darry is that he's crippled, either bedridden or walking with a cane, depending on which scene we choose from the text. Some might argue that this is just flowery language, written this way to match the tone of the rest of Ned's fever dream, not some careful mystery with embedded clues for us to see how some might survive despite the language seeming to state that they did not. My response is that the mastery of George R. R. Martin's writing might be that it can be both at the same time. Let's give him credit. Further, some of those same folks would poo-poo my reading of this passage, would also happily point to all the double and triple entendre, symbolism, and metaphor George R. R. Martin definitely built into the text that hints at R plus L equals J. Hidden kings buried under snow, ice dragons, etc. Why can't there also be breadcrumbs related to other mysteries? I mean, of course there can and is. So I ask that you please keep an open mind with this idea. There is a mystery around who the 4 loyal men are. There is a mystery about the house with the red door. Even if you believe it was in Braavos, there is still mystery around why they were forced from it. So again, I'll ask for your patience as we investigate, and for you to remember that not all evidence I present here needs to come true for my main ideas in this conspiracy to bear fruit. So, Willem Dustin. It is very curious that Barbrey Dustin makes such loud points to Theon about Ned returning the red stallion, but not returning Lord Willem's bones. However, if a man's alive, he can't very well return his bones. I would argue that the reason Ned builds 8 cairns is to signify the figurative death of 8 men, even if only 4 of the cairns are actually full. I argue, though, that Ned didn't return any bones to any houses because it would cause unwanted questions to return bones for some, but not all, of the dead from the Tower of Joy. So Ned chose to insult each of the houses Dustin, Ryswell, Wull, Cassel, and Glover, instead of returning some of the bones and insulting other houses, only to fuel speculation that the men whose bones are missing might have somehow survived. Of course, that is exactly what I am speculating. But if they survived, the obvious question is, Where in the world are they? That's a question Lord Eddard wouldn't want fueled or to answer if he were involved in a conspiracy to protect the heirs of the king he'd just got done deposing. Yet, if there is anything we 100% know Ned would do, it is sacrifice his own honor to protect children. That is who he is. So, I conclude that Ned would have involved the surviving Lord Dustin in his conspiracy to give him a chance at a longer life and a chance to do his duty to protect the realm and these children. The only chance he would have for children of his own. What gave me this wild idea? Well, both Preston Jacobs, Mark G171, and others have highlighted many discrepancies in Dany's description of Sir Willem Darry, and conclude that Dany may be conflating two different people in her memories. My addition to this analysis is simply to name the doppelganger. Much of what Dany recalls about the man she remembers as Willem Darry is probably Willem Dustin. I've also mentioned that Viserys may have spent a fair bit of time actually in Braavos with Sir Willem Darry during this time period. So that may also be a reason Dany remembers more of Lord Willem Dustin. Let's list the conflicting characteristics of Dany's Sir Willem Darry. He is simultaneously a great grey bear of a man, but dying of a wasting sickness. The great grey bear of a man would be Sir Willem Darry, but the one dying of a wasting sickness would be Lord Willem Dustin. The servants lived in terror of this imposing man, roaring and bellowing orders, but he is either bedridden or leans heavily on a stick to walk and stand. Depending on whether you believe Dany's recollections of A Game of Thrones, Daenerys 1, or A Clash of Kings, Daenerys 4, either way, it wouldn't be very imposing. Further, he is also described as gentle in A Clash of Kings, Daenerys 1. The only one to be feared would, of course, likely be the knight, Sir Willem Darry. But I argue that the gentle one who is either bedridden or walks with a cane would be Lord Willem Dustin, crippled at the Tower of Joy. His hands are soft as old leather, but Sir Willem Darry, a knight and former master-at-arms at the Red Keep, the capital of Westeros, the center of knightly chivalry for the Andals and the Faith of the Seven, would have had calloused hands instead. The one with the soft hands would, of course, be Lord Willem Dustin. He calls Daenerys either my lady or little princess. I'd argue that Darry would call her a princess, but Dustin, who fought a war to depose her father, would only grant the style my lady. I'd like to reinforce the soft hands issue with some textual evidence. She almost slapped his face, almost. But she had gone too far and too much was at stake. All I do for Tommen. She turned her head and caught Sir Osney's hand with her own, kissing his fingers. They were rough and hard, calloused from the sword. Robert had hands like that, she thought. That was from A Feast for Crows, Cersei 9. Sir Osney is a prototypical knight or man-at-arms. His calloused hands are noted to be that way specifically due to the sword. I don't believe George R. R. Martin would write such a knight as Sir Willem Darry, who, while old, would still be close to his prime, according to when he was named Master-at-Arms per A World of Ice and Fire, to have become such a polar opposite of a typical knight, 4 short years removed from being Master-at-Arms in the capital of the continent. I won't exhaust you with more textual evidence, but the men in our story with soft hands are maesters, holy men, seneschals, like Varys, and lords, not warriors. This is very consistent. I encourage you to do your own research on that in the text. Finally, here's a fun fact to reinforce the comparison of Sir Willem Darry to Sir Osney Kettleblack. Both men had a brother on the Kingsguard, Jonathor Darry for Aerys II, and Osmond Kettleblack for Tommen. Darry being a brother of Sir Jonathor also makes him a sort of brother to our Kingsguard 3 from the Tower of Joy, further reinforcing my idea that they would trust each other enough to join such a conspiracy as I propose. Before I go, I'll give you some more food for thought. If Oswell Went and Oswell Kettleblack are one and the same, how do Kettleblack's sons, the 3 brother knights, Sir Osmond, Sir Osfrid, and the aforementioned Sir Osney, fit into the conspiracy? I already noted in episode 2 that they were likely part of the Golden Company before their entree to King's Landing in the Clash of Kings. I'd like your thoughts on their movements in the comments. Finally, as a teaser for next episode, I'll be discussing Howland and Ashara Dane soon. How do you think 2 such characters who were previously associated with Ned ended up in the middle of the Aegon conspiracy? If you know, you know. If you don't, keep watching my videos and I'll help you out. Seriously though, the Order of the Green Hand once proposed that Howland's presence There was evidence that Ned and Varys conspired together on this. I reject that. Ned hates Varys, and I also think Ned believes, as I do, that Aegon, Rhaegar's son, is dead. So Ned would have no knowledge of this boy, the son of Sarah Mopatis. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. I know.
In the falling rain around me, outside my window is a tree. Outside my window